let me get my light. Hold on a second. Oh, that's better. Okay. We are doing, hold on. We are doing Instagram and TikTok live, and I am recording an audio version because I'm going to start uploading these to a podcast that I will be putting out in the next few weeks. So that's what we're going to do. Hopefully there are no glitches on the video, but if not, you can go back and listen. So that is going to be the benefit of that. You can go back and you can re-listen to these lives on the podcast. I will make that announcement later on as it's all like, ready to be uploaded. Today, we're going to talk about the age of Aquarius. This is a topic, a live that I have been wanting to do for a while. And I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it because I've been nervous. And, well, I'm not that nervous anymore, so we're going to do it. So, yeah, we're going to get into the age of Aquarius. We're going to get into what does that mean? Like, what is the new way of being right now? What is it that we need to do? What is it that we need to transform? What is it that we need to adjust? Really, what is it that we need to adjust? So this is a new age. Nobody's ever been in this age. This is a first time, right? Let's first break down. So we came out of the age of Pisces. Now we're into the age of Aquarius. So what is Aquarius, first of all, in the zodiac? So Aquarius is the 11th zodiac. Aquarius, they are ruled by the air, right? They are an air sign along with Gemini and Libra. The opposite of Aquarius, which is its sister sign, if you will, is Leo. So I'll break down how that plays a role also. So we have Aquarius and then we have the opposite sign, which is Leo. We are in the age of Aquarius now. It's transitioning right now, right? So when we think about what Aquarius is outside of just being an air sign, Aquarius represents community, right? They're humanitarian. They are science-based. They like science. They like intellectual things. They like intelligence, right? This is what, the essence of an Aquarian. And so when we put that into where we're at today, think about AI, right? AI advancements. What is that? Artificial intelligence, okay? Intelligence, which is what Aquarians are about, is intelligence, and then we have the artificial side, and that is supposed to help, with tasks and different things like that. There's a lot more to AI. I'm not going to go all the way on the AI side. What I want to do today is really talk about like what that means for us as humans, what we're supposed to do as humans. And so when we think Aquarius is an air sign, and so this is really a time, Pisces is a water sign, right? There's a lot of like intuition and flow when we were in the age of Pisces. That doesn't go away. That part of it doesn't go away. But when we're working with air, breath, communication, speech, the way we speak, the way we talk to one another, right? And when we put that into what we're putting out there, we see a lot more of community, humanitarian. That's what Aquarians are known for. And being that it's an air sign, this is really a time where not only do we need to focus like on our own breath work and, our breathing and stuff like that, but we also need to focus on how we talk, how we communicate, how are we communicating to others. When we take that and we look at it from the community sense, from the age of Aquarius, this is the rise of, well, I shouldn't say the rise of social media. Social media has been, a thing for the last couple decades now, or the last decade now, but social media is where like community comes in, right? This is a modernized version of community, especially if Aquarians like intelligence and like, evolving and stuff. Social media has made a way for us to evolve the way that we have community. Okay. The icon of an Aquarius is a water bearer. And so if you look at Aquarius and you look at their symbol, right? So like Gemini, for example, is the twins, duality. But Aquarius is a water bearer. So you have the guy who is pouring water into the abyss, right? I don't know where it's going, but he's pouring the water out there. And so when we think about water and we think about how that water is flowing out, if you visualize it, the visualization of the water flowing and what Aquarius stands for, we think about the flow of ideas, the flow of information, right? And then taking it back to AI, artificial intelligence. Look at Chat GPT. Look at anything like that, right? You ask a question, it spits out an answer. Okay, this is the age of information and ideas, and the age of intelligence and things like that. And so we have information at our fingertips. Information is readily available on every device just about that you have, right? We have information in our pockets. We've had information in our pockets since 2007 when the iPhone launched. We can pull out, I'm on my phone so I can't show you a demonstration, but we can pull out our phone, search for something, and in a couple seconds we get the answers that we're looking for, right? So think the flow of information. Now, taking it back to a new way of being, where is this information coming from, right? Information is coming from the people. Think about modern community versus old school community. Back in the day, in a whole different age, when it wasn't Aquarius, back in the day, in a whole different age, we had communities, and the communities were in person, right? You would go to the elder, you would go to, the elder, or to somebody for guidance, for wisdom, for information, right? This was a different age, but the same concept. You would go to somebody for wisdom. You had a community. You traded skills back in the day, okay? Somebody, if we take it back to way back in the day when it was hunters and gatherers, the women gathered berries, the men hunted the food, right? But it was a sense of community. Everybody knew their role. Everybody brought their skills, okay? If you did a lot of trading, if one community had more berries and the other community had, I don't know, yarn, like clothing, let's say, right? You would trade skills, you would barter things, okay? This is the same thing, but in the digital world, in the modernized world. This is the time where we can trade skills, sell skills via social media, via the internet, right? Our community looks different, but it is still a community. You build up a community online. You build up a group of people who are like-minded thinkers, or who have skills that vary from your skills so that you can learn, right? Or who have skills that complement your skills, and then you collaborate, okay? These are the different things when we think about that. Oops, I kicked my stand, sorry. These are the different types of community that we have today. But it's the same concept, okay? It's the modern version of what we used to do back at the beginning of time when we were trading physical skills. Now we're still teaching skills. We're going online. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to learn how to make sourdough bread from scratch, you could search it on the internet, and there is a video or multiple videos of people teaching that, right? There is a time where people are teaching the things that they know. Think about that one YouTube creator, Dad, How Do I don't know if you've heard of him, but there's the guy on YouTube, and I believe his channel is called Dad, How Do I? And he became very popular during the pandemic. And what he is teaching is he's teaching skills. He's teaching skills to young people who did not grow up with a father in the home, or who did not learn these things as children, right? And so, again, this is the modern community of skill teaching, of collaboration, of learning, of sharing ideas. Now, on the opposite side of community and ideas in the age of Aquarius, Aquarians are known for their rebellion, okay? In traditional astrology, they're ruled by Saturn, which is discipline, and things like that. But in modern astrology, they're ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of rebellion, the planet of revolution, the planet of change, right? And that is the modern ruler. So when we think about rebellion and what Aquarians are known for in the age of Aquarius, when it comes to rebellion, they are unconventional, right? They like to do things outside of the box. We are in an age of doing things outside of what is considered the norm, right? What has been the norm historically. And so if we look at this in terms of online business, right, that is a new, it's not normalized yet, but it's becoming more normal, right? The internet is a new way to make money. Let's put it that way. The internet is a new way to make money. And so you have the internet as a new way to make money. And then you're in this age of Aquarius. That is the rebellious side and getting rid of the unconventional thinking of the 9 to 5. So wasted no time. Keep going. Thank you, Sahana. That is the rebellion side of this age, right? We are rebelling against the traditional 9 to 5. This is a new way of being. This is a new way to exist here in this timeline, in this new age, right? If Aquarians are rebellious and the 9 to 5 is traditional, then obviously in this age, you're going to see a lot more people rebelling against that structure. You see a lot more uproar. You see mothers complaining about not having time with their children because they work a 9 to 5 and they get those 3 hours a night, if they're lucky, to be able to actually spend quality time with the children. In California, you see more parents opting into homeschool, right? You see more parents pulling their kids out of school so that they can homeschool. This again is not the norm. This is an unconventional way of thinking. This is because of the age of Aquarius and the rebellion that is Aquarius, or that are the Aquarians. Aquarians are also, they're intellectuals and they are visionaries. And so it's funny that they're visionaries because that is something that I learned recently. And I actually, my signature program is the Visionary CEO. So it flows right along. But they are visionaries. They think outside of the box. So I want you to look at the 9 to 5 as the box. They are visionaries. They think outside of the box. So I want you to look at the 9 to 5 as the box. And so when you're in that box, because that's how we've been taught to make money, that's how we've been taught to gather paychecks, what is outside of the box? Outside of the box brings it back to the community, the skills, the ideas, right? Teaching online, teaching skills, teaching your ideas, and implementing your ideas, right? And putting them on the internet to make money. That is outside of the box. That is forward thinking. That is being a visionary. And that is using what you have to create the cash that you desire, right? Right here on the internet, right here in the modern sense of community. And so that's what being a visionary is. Oh, that goes, I'm not even going to go to that page yet. That's how Leo plays a role. We'll come back to that. That is what being a visionary is. And so when you're taking it back, I have talked about the essence of flow, right? I have talked about, and I've showed the little diagram that I drew about the essence of flow. And so when we think about flow in terms of intuition and implementation, it's the ability to be still. It's the ability to sit with yourself and allow the ideas to download into you, allow the ideas to come to you by whomever or whatever you believe in, whether that's a higher power, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, whatever it is, right? You are allowing your intuition to take the ideas and come to you, and then you sit and you take the first step of action, which is to write. Writing is a form of communication. Aquariuses are known for communication. This is the age to communicate. Even if you are communicating on paper with yourself or with your higher self, that is still a form of communication. So you get into the communication space, right? You communicate it, pen to paper communication. And then after that, you go into the implementation process, right? And that is the flow space. This is the obedience, obeying your intuition. You go, picture like an arrow. You know the arrow emoji. Picture an arrow. So you go into the implementation piece, right? And then you're doing what it is that you received, right? And you're taking the idea that you received, you communicate it with yourself, and you wrote it down, and then you implemented it after. By implementing it, you are putting your ideas out there into the community. That's what this age is all about. You're putting your ideas out there right into the community. You are talking about different skills. You are perfecting your skills. You are learning how to better your skills so that you can teach other people's skills, so that you can get paid. So that you can get paid in the unconventional way of a 9 to 5. That's the age of Aquarius. It's a new way to be. It's a new way to exist. And so with the flow, it flows, no pun intended, right into the icon of, or I'm sorry, the symbol of the Aquarius, right? The water bearer who is flowing. Water is an element, And I remember I did a video. I compare water as an element. And when we think of money, I like to look at money in the element of water, because we think about money, we think of cash flow, right? We think of streams of income, right? What is a flow? A flow is typically a water element. What is a stream? A stream is a water element, right? And so when we think about money in that sense, then we have streams of income flowing, then we can get onto the frequency of what money is, right? And we look at money as a water element. Well, humans are majority water. So why would money not be available to you? And then when you take it and you look at money as water, and you think of yourself as primarily water, then you can obviously bring money into you. Now you take it a step further with the age of Aquarius, where the symbol is a water bearer, and Aquariuses are an air sign that work with breath, communication, and speech, who are for humanitarian and community. Well, then the essence of making money comes from within your idea, through what you communicate, through what you speak, through your breath work, the breath work to be still to receive the idea, and then you put it back out into the community. And now you're even further in this essence of flow and looking at money as the frequency that you can just grasp within. When you do this, the stuff that's going on in the world that they're talking about on the news, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. The cost of things don't matter. Because you're operating on a different frequency, right? You are working with the age. You're bringing the community to you. You are putting your ideas out there. You're rebelling against the system. To rebel against the system that's what Aquarians are known for. My best friend in high school, he was an Aquarius. My daughter's an Aquarius too. I can confirm they are rebellious little individuals, and they're not like dumb rebellious, for lack of a better term. They are calculated rebellious. They see a different way of doing things. They see a different way of being, and that's how they want to be, right? In a different way. So let's talk about the sister sign. The sister sign of Aquarius is Leo. Now, it is not the age of Leo. It is still the age of Aquarius, and very early on. But when we have a sister sign in astrology, the sister sign complements what we are, right? They are considered the opposite sign, but the irony that I have always found, and full disclaimer, I'm not an astrologist. The irony that I have always found, though, is there are similarities, right, in the sister signs. And so the sister sign, aka the opposite sign for Aquarius, is Leo. Leo is all about self-expression, self-identity, right? Things of the self. And so when we pair that sister sign with Aquarius, where Aquarius is all about community and Leo is all about, self-expression, and self-identity, we think about self-identity versus group identity, right? And so when we want to pair the two together, as we think about self-identity, but in the essence of community, this is bringing it back to how do you identify with yourself, and then how can you bring that identity into the community, and how can you bring forth more people around you in your community that share the same self-identities that you do, right? Or that you are able to teach on certain self-identities, certain identities, things like that. And so that is where the sister sign comes in, right? And so being self-led is more of a Leo trait, right? To be self-led, to be people say self-absorbed. I mean, that's like negative, but we'll say self-led. To be self-led. And so the sister sign being Leo, to be self-led and to look at it as the essence of self, but then to also bring it into an essence of community, the independence comes out. This is taking it back to breaking away from what is unconventional, right? And so if we look at this from a job perspective, in a 9-to-5, the 9-to-5 is a conventional way to make money. Now, if we look at Leo, who is self-identity, and then we look at Aquarius, which is group identity, then we bring it back to online business. And what is online business? Online business starts with the sense of self, right? You have a self-identity. You receive a download to go and do this business. The download belongs to you. It is yours. It is your duty, your mission. It is what you received, right? The obedience that you must obey. So we bring that essence to the internet or to wherever to create a business. And then from that, we take the Aquarius side and we build a community around that, right? We use our sense of self-identity to be able to create the business and create cash for ourselves by utilizing community. And so that's how it all begins to flow together. That is how Leo and Aquarius come together as opposites, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Because there are, I think of like a coin. They're two sides of the same coin. A quarter is a quarter. Heads or tails, a quarter is a quarter, right? So when you flip a coin, that's how I like to think of the zodiac. Yes, heads looks different than tails, but at the same time, they're on the same coin, meaning that there are similarities. That's how the sister signs in the zodiac work, to me, is that they are, two sides of the same coin, right? You can look at government like that. I had somebody tell me years and years ago, like, okay, it's two wings on the same bird, right? It's the same type of deal. And so with this age of Aquarius comes a time to really focus on air qualities versus water qualities. And I'm not going to really get into the age of Pisces. But the age of Aquarius comes a time to focus on air qualities. Focus on how you communicate with others. Focus on the things that you say. Focus on what you speak. Focus on what you write. Okay, writing is words. Words are a form of communication. Focus on the things that you write. Focus on your writing. Learn how to write intuitively. Learn how to do intuitive writing. If you don't know what that is, intuitive writing is when you write in a free flow state for a certain amount of minutes, a certain amount of pages, whatever it is that you put down for you, but you write freely, free-handed, no structure, no forethought, nothing like that, right? There is nothing like that. It is just free writing. This is writing intuitively. This is intuitive writing, and it brings forth all of your subconscious thoughts. This is how you begin to communicate with your subconscious. This is a way of communication, which is going to be big this age. So this is a way of communication with yourself. If you believe in a higher power, the more you do intuitive writing, you will see that you are communicating on paper with the higher power from which you believe in, right? This is a form of speech, breath. When we speak, we take breath, right? When we pause, we should still be breathing. But breath work is going to be a big thing. Speaking properly. And I don't mean properly in terms of like proper English. That's not what I'm getting at. What I mean by properly, speaking properly, is speaking life over yourself, speaking life over the things that you desire, right? Communicating what it is that you want, getting into a state of flow, staying in flow. Flow flows flow flows very well with this age. The Aquarian symbol is a water symbol. That's why Aquariuses are often mistaken for a water sign, but they're not. They're an air sign, right? And so taking all of that and bringing in community, bringing in ideals to one another, collaborating with each other, teaching one another, right? Sharing your skills, a thirst for knowledge. I completely forgot to touch on that point. Aquarians are known for their thirst for knowledge. Most air signs are, because Geminis are very well known for that too. They are curious. They want to keep learning. They want to keep evolving. They want to know more. Like they're like a lifetime student, right? Aquariuses are like very much like lifelong students. They are constantly learning. So bring that essence into your life. Always be learning and learning new skills that you can turn around and teach, right? Where it's a time where we're going to be teaching skills again, like we did way back in the day, when we had manual labor, where people were, the communities where people were making dresses and trading, right? I have berries if you have clothing and things like that, and trading things out. I mentioned this earlier in the live, but you can see it already on the internet. You can see, how do I make sourdough bread? And there's a whole whole list of videos. There's courses on it, right? You can learn skills, but you can learn skills, but because you can learn skills, that's also telling you that you can turn around and teach your skills. Every skill that you have, somebody out there desires. Every skill that you think is irrelevant, that you think nobody is going to want to know about, that you are so numb to because you're good at it, somebody out there wants to know it. Okay, somebody out there wants to know it. People, I've noticed this with like people who are really good at cooking. And they'll be like, well, I'm just like, I'm just an amateur, or, you know, I'm not a chef, so nobody wants to know. And I tell people who I believe have great meals, I tell them all the time, like, people who don't have a basis of cooking and who follow recipes all the time, aka me, like, I love watching other people cook. I love learning how to cook, even if it's basic, right? So write out the skills that you have. This is a new way to be. Write out the skills that you have. Write out the skills that you forgot you had. And if you cannot consciously think about the skills that you have, then you need to do an intuitive writing session and you need to let it free flow. I promise you all of those skills will come out. I promise you skills that you forgot about we're going to start to come out right at the top of the page. Right? What skills do I have? Keep it as simple as that. Right? What skills do I have? And start consciously with the skills that you have. Set a timer for like 10 minutes. And write 10 minutes, all your skills, all your skills, all your skills. You're going to find skills that you completely forgot about. And when you find those skills that you forgot about, those are probably the best ones to teach upon, because those are the ones that you've become numb to, meaning that other people are actually searching for that. But then you don't know that they're searching for that because you just think it's a part of everyday life, right? You know, and so that's actually a really, write that down. That's a really good place to start, is by doing some type of journal entry like that, taking those skills. And then if you want to take it a step further, take those skills and search for them on the internet. See if people are searching for it. You can search on TikTok, on Google, on Instagram, on anywhere really. And see if other people are searching for how to do those skills. If they are, well, now you have a way to make money. Now you have a way to create something that's going to pay you. Now you're working with the new age. You're finding a new way to be. The money is there. The money it's right there. Okay, what was that? Skills, thirst for knowledge, humanitarian community. We went over that. Rebellious and unconventional. Teaching your skills is an unconventional way to be. Yes, it is. And that's good. That's where we're at now. Independent and original. That's another trait of Aquarius's. So where are you in original? Where can you bring originality, right? Like, what is something that you can do that is different, that makes people think differently? Where can you bring originality, right? Like, what is something that you can do that is different, that makes people think differently, that gets people to question things, right? Different things like that. So that is a little brief overview on the age of Aquarius and a new way of being. If you are ready and willing and ready to transform and figure out, like, what are my skills? What am I supposed to be doing here right now? Like, what is the purpose of right now? Then you can click on the link in my bio and you can grab Intuitive Writing Mastery. That is a mini course that serves more as a toolkit, but it's structured like a course, but it serves more as a toolkit where I guide you on how to uncover, like, what exactly is supposed to be doing. We go through releasing old beliefs from the past. We go to getting in touch with your future self so you can get guidance from up ahead. We go through anchoring in the now so that you can still stay present in the current moments. And then we have another meditation that is uniting the three versions of you. So that's past, present, and current, brings it all together. And then I teach you how to do intuitive writing in that one. I go in depth. You learn how to do intuitive writing, lots of visualizations, lots of like transformative stuff in there. So you can grab that. As you grab that, you will begin to uncover what skills you have. And as you uncover what skills you have and get the downloads on what it is you're supposed to do here and what it is you're supposed to create, then you can turn around and go ahead and create it and get with the new age. I will see you all. What's today? Thursday? I'll be back on Monday. I don't think I can go live tomorrow. We'll see. If I can't go live tomorrow, I will be back on Monday. But everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you all in the content feed. Bye.